Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video we're going to be showing the top alpha bear and this boss teams. So the overall best team is going to be using Phraesto, you probably guessed it. However, there are some good options even if you don't have Phraesto built, and we're going to go through all of those today as well. So here was the team which I got 80 or 58.5 billion damage with. And this is the formation. The main Phraesto will be in front of Mikola, and the illusion will be in front of Reinier. Reinier will position swap Lily May and have resonating spell on Lily May for more damage. Mikola and Smokey are here to provide the attack buff to the team mainly, and also the haste buff to your allies, your damage dealers on the team. So let's take a look at the replay and then we'll move on to the other teams. So Phraestos walk up, Mikola off to the side. She's going to cast her ultimate and give haste buff to everyone. All of the key damage dealers, which are Lily May and the two Phraestos, which is the really important thing. Smokey is also providing the attack and haste buff for our allies. They're all being reached. Basically, the positioning is perfect because everyone is being reached by the important buffs on the team. And the blue orb Smokey is going to contact the boss here or connect and allow him to deal damage to the boss. Reinier will increase the damage that the boss receives from mainly for Lily May, because we've already talked about it before that Phraesto and Smokey's damage, which is HP per second damage predominantly, that is not going to be affected as much or really at all by the Reinier debuff, but Lily May's damage is going to be affected. Okay, so as you can tell, your team is going to wipe at around the 20-second mark. There's nothing you can do about that, and it still is the optimal way to run this team. Like, if, for example, people have tried Coco and other things, but they will just not get a higher score. And you saw at the end, I got, I guess, pretty lucky. I don't know, most of the time this is what happens, is that Lily May survives on her own up until the end, because she keeps going for Rainstorm Ballet. And there you see the damage output chart. So 58.5 billion damage with that team. Now, the next best team is going to be using no Phraesto, which got 50 billion or 50.5 almost billion, which is a really good score as well. And it's using Coco, and it will allow your team to survive right up until the end, which is the other advantage of it. Otherwise, the team is pretty much the same. Reinier position swap their Lily May for more damage, resonating spell on the Lily May. Mikola to buff up your haste onto your Lily May and also give the attack buff from the Honor Arena. Coco is here for the protection of your team, the damage reduction, and also to provide a bit of damage reduction onto Mikola when she's tanking out the front line. So this is a great team, and you can give this team a try. This is much more friendly, like, I mean, not maybe free-to-play friendly, but more budget version of a team. And if you have Reinier at Mythic Plus, and if you have Lily May, Smokey, all at Mythic Plus, and ideally Coco too, you should try this team. I mean, one thing I'm noticing here is that Mikola is not actually in a good position. I don't know if her buffs are reaching Lily May from this position. It's really close. I think they must be, otherwise how did we get such a good damage score? Anyway, I think you can try this team even if your Mikola isn't like Supreme Plus, even if she's a bit lower ascended. Give it a try and see whether this will do better for you. And you can always try all of the teams. Basically, when I make these videos, these are all teams you can try, even if you're not like having, like if your heroes are not highly ascended. And if they end up doing badly, you can just say, okay, yeah, this team is not working for me, I'll try the next one. But yeah, we really need, I mean, I'm imagining Mikola is buffing up Lily May in that position. We can actually figure it out by looking at the formation again. I wish when you were in the battle it could break down, or there was some toggle option to show you exactly the grid and the spaces everyone was in. Because in this position, I think what happened was Mikola ends up here. The boss basically spans this range over here. So Mikola ended up here. I think Lily May was here. That would be two tiles, but if Lily May is over here and Mikola is over here, then she will not be getting buffed up. We need to rewatch this. Do we need to optimize the positioning or something? No, yeah, Lily May is not getting buffed by the Courier Sphere of Mikola from this position. So this is not, couldn't there be a better way of structuring this, or is there no other possible way? Like, couldn't we just do, we're gonna have to try this run again, guys, because there's probably a more optimal positioning. Mikola is wasting her haste buff and it's not going on the Lily May, which is a problem. So let's try using this, and let's try going for Mikola maybe here. then she should be buffing up. Well, even here, would she be buffing up the Lily May? If Lily May ends up on the right side, why don't we have Mikola here? Or will Lily May always end up on the side where Mikola doesn't end up running to? Okay, I just want to try this and see what happens when we try this formation. Mikola will end up there. No, okay, now Lily May should be getting buffed up by the Mikola. And so this should just be better unless there's some survival issues here. But we could even... Yeah, I mean, we need to have the Coco on the other side. So we're giving up on the Coco buff onto the Mikola, but I think this will be worth it. I think everyone's still gonna die. Or everyone should survive if you have Coco, especially Coco at Mythic Plus with her shielding. I think this should just be better. So this is something you always want to pay attention to. Are your team getting the optimal buffs from all of your key support heroes? And if they're not, then you can try some different positioning to get around it. Because yeah, this is fine. Mikola is surviving just fine without the Coco charm bonus. And anyway, that's such a minor effect. But we're actually going to end up getting lower damage in the end. Who knows? I guess, I don't know. I don't understand. 50.4 billion damage with the Mikola on the other slot and 1 billion less damage with Mikola on this slot. Yeah. So I guess even though in this position Mikola was buffing up Lily May, in the other position she was not. Maybe it's just better for Lily May to not receive the haste buff. Anyway, I guess this is the overall best formation that you can try. I don't know. It's confusing. Yeah, okay, let's move on to the next team. So now we're going to go through teams if you don't have Lily May. So no Lily May teams, but let's say you still have Reinier at Mythic Plus. There are two options. You can run Corin or Merrily, basically as your secondary damage dealer along with Odie. And these are really free-to-play friendly teams as long as you have Reinier at Mythic Plus. And don't worry, if you don't have Reinier at Mythic Plus, then we have another team for you as well. Okay, so here's the positioning for both teams. Smokey, Reinier swap the Odie to the front. You need to have at least one hero in melee range of the boss. Otherwise, he unleashes a really powerful attack. And then you have Merrily as your secondary damage dealer. The other formation is exactly the same, but it has Corin instead of the Merrily, getting the charm buff from the Coco. But you need to have Reinier position swapping the Odie so that someone is in the melee range. Because Odie is going to be permanently locked into that position. So we're going to watch the replay of the Merrily team. This is what got the highest score for me, but it might depend on how upgraded you have Merrily or Corin. I think other people have done testing, and they're almost exactly getting the same score. So it's just up to you, whichever one you have at Mythic Plus, but you need to have Merrily or Corin at Mythic Plus in order to run them. Otherwise, their damage is going to be way too low. Okay, because Mythic Plus unlocks their true damage, which makes them good for endless bosses. So Odie does really well with Resonating Swell because he can keep cycling his ultimate and basically have permanent uptime of the attack buff because it lasts for a 6-second attack buff each time he casts his ultimate. Merrily just dealing damage off in the back. And we got over 45 billion damage with this team. And of course Lily May was better. Lily May and Mikola team got up to 50.5 billion damage as you saw, but that needs two heroes built, like Lily May and Mikola, which maybe people are not going to be able to have, but you should be able to run this team with either Merrily or Corin. I can briefly show you the Corin replay, and maybe if you're having difficulty surviving, maybe Corin could be better for you because he provides some shielding for your team. But from what I remember is like I've done even in pre-endless bosses, when you have difficulty surviving, usually the Corin shield is not really going to keep your team alive that much longer. It's like a low duration shield, and yeah, I feel like it doesn't make that big of a difference. The thing about Corin here is he's actually not a melee hero. He has a range of 2, and so he's going to be stacked independently of the other boss's attack, because the boss has one attack where he will stack honey onto adjacent enemies. And so if, for example, you have 3 or 4 melee heroes all up in the front, they're all going to be stacked at one time. And you want to delay the stacking as much as possible, because when all of your team is stacked, the boss unleashes a really powerful attack. And like, look at that, almost blows up your team. So yeah, so this will depend on how invested you have Corin or Merrily, but both can work. They do almost identical amount of damage. Now, if you don't have Reinier at Mythic Plus, they're still a good option. Look at this, 43.5 billion, really close to actually the 45.5 billion with Reinier at Mythic Plus. So this is a great choice. This was the best team I was able to find, or basically after my testing. And now basically there are two ways of doing it. One got 43.4 billion, one got 43.5 billion. Either you give the resonating spell to Odie in the back, or you give the resonating spell to Merrily in the back, and you just swap the positions of Merrily and Odie. So the Merrily team did a little bit better for me, but it might be because, like, well, I don't know. It would probably depend on your charm bonuses as well. I think overall I would probably just recommend the Odie team. Odie does really well with resonating spell. So, yeah, here's a team. And we have Thorin Soul Pacting the Smokey, because in this position, Smokey is still going to be buffing up most of your team. Like you can see right here, he waits until his next cast of his ultimate to buff up Merrily, who has jumped off to the side, but that's not too big of a deal. And you have Thorin right in the front, so he can begin attacking the boss as quickly as possible. Thorin deals a pretty good amount of damage in this boss, because of the damage reflection damage that he deals. And Smokey, in this position, his blue aura is going to reach the boss and deal damage, so he's fine to be, like, in this position. And Odie's just firing off in the back with the resonating spell. Coco is great for keeping your team alive, and this is even a good team you can run before getting to end this when you have a really difficult time surviving. And a lot of times it's actually the Smokey who ends up dying first, so that's why I like having Thorin Soul Pack the Smokey. Like, look at that, that allowed Smokey to survive up until the end right there. Okay, and yeah, that is basically it for the key teams you can try for the Alpha Bear and this boss. And good luck running these teams. Hopefully you can get a high score with one of them. You can definitely try all of these different teams and see whichever one does best for you. But it will, like, if you have no Reinier, then no Reinier and no Phraesto, then I think probably the best option is going to be these teams I just showed you with Thorin. Thorin is great. He has the Soul Plunder debuff to increase the damage the boss receives. And if you have Reinier, then you can try the Reinier Mikola Lily May team. This is the overall best team if you have these heroes built up. But if you don't have these heroes built up, then you can definitely go for the more free-to-play friendly team. Like, for example, this one with the Reinier, Merrily, and Odie. And then if you have Phraesto and you have all the heroes built, this is the overall best team. Like we said, main Phraesto in front of Mikola, Illusion in front of Reinier, and this got me 80 or 58.5 billion damage. I keep thinking 80 for some reason. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. That is going to be it for this one. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.